Dear friends, I like to share with you the Gospel of Tuesday of the Easter week because it is beautiful and all dedicated to Mary Magdalene. You remember the woman that was a sinner. Now she's the best friend, the love of Jesus, and she is living the whole life for Jesus. So she's the first one to go down to the tomb. Actually, St. John doesn't speak about the other women. He just talks about Mary Magdalene, who goes down to the tomb and she's weeping outside the tomb. So she sees two angels and they ask her, why are you weeping? And she says, because they have taken my Lord. They've taken away my Jesus, the love of my life. I don't know where they put him. So you see here the great, deep love that Mary has for Jesus. Then she looks around and she sees the gardener. Actually, he's Jesus, but she doesn't recognize him. I asked myself, why is it that Mary cannot recognize his best friend, the life of her life, only 3 days after his death? See, now Jesus is resurrected. Jesus now is God, more than man. Man, he only has the appearance because he's resurrected. So in a way, Jesus shows himself in a spiritual way. And she realized that that's Jesus when he calls her by name. You see, I think that's beautiful when Jesus calls her Mary. And she remembers that voice. Maybe she doesn't recognize the vision, but she remembers the voice. Sometimes God does that to us. Maybe we don't see him, but he calls us, and we can hear his beautiful voice down deep in our hearts. Then she tries to go and adore him. She recognized right away that he is not just her friend, but now this is the Messiah, the Savior, the Lord. And Jesus says something that could somehow is strange to me. He says, do not hold on to me because I have to go to my Father. Interesting, these questions. Do not hold on to me. And I believe Jesus is telling her now, you cannot hold on to me like before. You cannot hold on to me humanly speaking. Your love now has to change, has to become spiritual. Your love, the human love, now has to grow and become divine love. So that's why Jesus says, don't hold on to me. Don't hold on to the sensible, the human feelings. Now you have to grow and become a mystic. You have to become a spiritual woman. And then immediately he tells her, go and tell my friends, tell my disciples that I will meet them in Galilee. So here, two things. First of all, Mary is the first apostle, the first missionary. Imagine Jesus doesn't call John, the beloved disciple, doesn't call Peter, the head of his church. Jesus calls Mary, and he sends her to announce his resurrection. So she becomes the missionary, the apostles of the apostles, because she is the unity between Jesus and the apostles. Mary is the trait d'union, is the link between Jesus and the apostles. And so then Mary happily goes and runs to the apostles. The last thing I was wondering, why is Jesus beginning in Galilee? Remember that they were already in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the capital, was the place of the temple, the origin of the Israelitic religion. Why Jesus does not begin right there, at the center and the capital? No, he tells them, go to Galilee, out in the north, where he has started. You see, everything begins anew. Everything begins again from the first steps of Jesus. Now the church is going through the same steps that Jesus did. So in a way, Jesus begins his new mission with the church. The church has to begin from the same place where Jesus started, from Galilee. So, dear friends, enjoy this beautiful reading today and this great love of Mary Magdalene for her best friend, for the love of her life, for Jesus himself.